Hey everybody,
Hey everyone.
welcome to Wednesday Night Live at Siskiyou Vita Medicine. In case you don't know, we're a direct primary care practice here in Medford, Oregon, and we are loving life. It's amazing. Wednesday Night Live is about talking about really interesting health topics. I'm Dr. Duncan, and I'm joined by Ron Veitel.
Hello.
And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about ketogenic diets. Are you guys interested? Hopefully, thumbs up if you are. Even if you're not, we're going to talk about it anyway. So, Ron has decided that he's going to go on a ketogenic diet.
I have decided this, which has been
Exciting.
it's been rolling through my head for several weeks now.
Several weeks.
Several weeks I have been contemplating doing this. And not for the typical reasons that most people do ketogenic diet for weight loss or diabetes
Yep.
or cancer.
Right.
Those seem to be the three main
Yes.
reasons, or seizures.
Seizures is probably the
Seizures.
biggest one.
That's where it all began.
That's kind of what got me into ketogenics.
Yeah.
Is I had a patient with seizures. She was having lots and lots of seizures. So we did a ketogenic diet, and I happened to not know anything about ketogenic diets, so I went through it with her, and we kind of did it together, and it was transformative. It transformed me. It transformed my ideas and my understanding of nutrients and nutrition. So it was awesome. I'm really excited for you. I'm so happy that you're going to be going through this experience and getting that firsthand knowledge. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm excited to do it. It's a diet that I put a lot of people on. It seems to be a diet that I put so many people on, and I thought, and it's a really restrictive diet at that. So it requires a lot of will.
It does,
and so
especially in the beginning.
Yes, exactly. As you're transitioning,
it's like working out. It's hard to do in the beginning, but after you do it for a while, it gets easier and easier.
You get used to it, right?
You do,
and you get into a rhythm with it.
Right.
Yeah, so I've been putting people on this diet, and it's been really intriguing because I've done a lot of research with it as I've been doing that and having to learn about it a lot more than I ever have in the past. And I thought to myself, I should probably go on this myself to figure out what it's like to do it, and that way I can learn the ins and outs.
The intricacies,
and then I can help people troubleshoot. And so, but my concern was always, I can't afford to lose weight.
Right, you're already thin.
There's not much of me.
This is going to be a really interesting experiment.
I know, if I turn sideways, you might
Where's Ron?
Where did I go?
We'll only see his hair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and that big smile.
So that we have another patient who wants to go on the ketogenic diet and can't afford to lose weight either.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I will do it with you. Yes. I will be your buddy.
I love this.
This is great.
I love this partnership stuff.
Yeah, we are going to be accountability buddies and keto buddies. And figure out how to do this without losing weight. Because I weighed in and I'm 141 pounds.
Okay. And
so I would be okay losing temporarily about 3 pounds.
3 pounds.
3 pounds.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
So when you're on a sugar diet or a sugar-based diet, you're storing glycogen.
Right.
So glucose goes to glycogen and is stored in the muscles. When you have glycogen in the body, glycogen requires water for storage. So you're probably going to lose at least 3 pounds just in water weight.
Just water weight. So hence the need to be really hydrated.
Yes.
Right.
Really hydrated. Eat lots of minerals. So salt your food.
Yep.
Lots of magnesium dense, rich foods. Avocados are going to be your best friend.
Yep. Which I don't have a problem with that. I love avocados.
That's great. But a lot of people will come in, go on a ketogenic diet and say, look, I lost like 10 pounds right out of the gate, but then I haven't lost any more weight. And you dropped some water weight. And it takes a while for your body to adapt and transition into a full ketotic state, a nutritional ketosis state.
Yep.
Not really ketoacidosis. We're not promoting to go into ketoacidosis.
And we should probably let people know what ketosis actually is.
Right. Okay. You want to take that?
So,
Or do you want me to
you
go for it.
All right.
No, you go for it.
Because you're on a roll.
No, you're all right.
But so ketosis is a state where the body shifts from using glucose as a fuel source or carbohydrates to using fat molecules. They create something called ketones. Mm-hmm. And the ketones get used similar to glucose, but they get used as a fuel source. So you're shifting your fuel source from glucose to fat or to ketones.
Which is amazing.
Which is an incredible. So one of the benefits of this is that when you're using fat as fuel, one, it's a higher quality energy source. There's 9 calories per gram in fat versus 4 calories per gram in carbohydrates and protein.
Yep.
The other thing is that fat, when you're burning fat, it produces less free radicals than glucose. Glucose is a heavy oxidation, or it's like a combustion process.
Right. Yep.
And so it's a much cleaner burning fuel. So I equate it to it's solar energy versus coal power.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and I think that's one of the reasons I use it is to reduce inflammation in somebody, mm-hmm. as well as help them, reduce the insulin resistant fat that they're carrying around their midsection.
Right.
So I love the anti-inflammatory characteristics of a ketogenic diet, and have found it to be very therapeutic for cancer, autoimmune conditions, nervous system issues, mm-hmm. like migraines, neuropathy caused by diabetes, mm-hmm. Restoring the metabolic capacity of the body to handle insulin, or be sensitive to insulin, handle sugar and glucose at some point. So yeah, it's super helpful. So you're what, day 2?
Day 2.
Day 2. Wow.
And probably more like day 1, because I had a dinner date with a friend last night, and he had made rice and dal.
Yeah.
So I didn't eat a whole lot of rice, but I did have the dal. So that may have thrown me out. I was really good. Breakfast and lunch was mm-hmm. full on high fat.
And breakfast this morning was sausage and eggs.
Sausage and eggs
mm-hmm.
with the non-coffee coffee with lots of fat in it. So
the non-coffee, the Ticino.
We make Ticino in the morning. So McLean and I work out in the mornings here, and then after that we make breakfast. So today
we're getting so buff.
So, which has been an awesome thing, because now we make breakfast together, and so we had eggs, we had sausage, and then make this Ticino, which is a carob, roasted carob, barley.
It's actually quite satisfying.
It's very satisfying. It's got like a bit of a coffee like robustness to it.
I love coffee, and I usually had before we started working out, I was having a cup of coffee in the mornings. But since we've started making breakfast together, and you started making Ticino, I've been drinking Ticino, and I got to tell you, it's really good.
It is. It's great. I don't miss the coffee when I drink that.
And then when you do the keto coffee, can you describe what goes into the keto coffee?
Yeah. So what we've been doing the past couple mornings is we brew the non-coffee coffee, and then I add a couple tablespoons of MCT oil, mm-hmm. A couple tablespoons of cacao butter, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, a little bit of vanilla, and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt, and put it in the NutriBullet, and just NutriBullet it for a while.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And
it's frothy goodness.
It's so frothy and creamy, rich deliciousness.
And when you make bulletproof coffee, when you add MCT oil or butter to your coffee, you can stir it in all you want, but eventually all the oil kind of comes to the top, and then when you take a sip of your drink, it's like you just get this oil slick.
That's right.
I don't like that.
I don't
Not
either.
so much. Yeah. So the fact that you put it into a blender and sort of and mix it all up and homogenize it, it almost in the spices that are in the Ticino plus the vanilla and the.
I'm gonna put a little cinnamon in there too.
Yeah, and the cinnamon. It's like Christmas. I mean, it's like it's delicious. It complements
really
the eggs and the sausage really well.
Yeah. So super high fat.
Yeah.
Moderate protein. Breakfast, and what I found myself at lunch today was I was still really held over.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't craving. I wasn't craving. I wasn't like starving for lunch.
I think that's really important when going on any diet is set yourself up for success. And in the ketogenic diet, it's really about eating enough calories. So it's not really a calorie restrictive diet in terms of like total calories, because you're eating fat, which contains a lot of energy, like you said. It's really about reducing the number of sugars. You're not going for like a 2,000 calorie or less diet.
Right.
What you're looking at is the percentage. So you want like 80 to 85% of your calories to come from fats, and then the rest can come from vegetables. Sweet potatoes and corn are not vegetables. So leafy greens, avocados, nuts, seeds, those sorts of things. Your calories, your carb calories are going to be coming from those, and then also your proteins.
And
you want to keep your moderate proteins, because too much protein can result in the production of glucose by the liver.
Yep.
So
called gluconeogenesis.
Yeah, exactly. We want to keep that process at a minimum. And some people make sugar more efficiently out of proteins than others. So if you're stuck on the keto, you're not losing weight on the keto diet, look at your macronutrients. So look at your protein again. Reevaluate how much protein you're taking in, how many carbs. Like you want to be around like 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrates a day.
If you're trying to get into ketosis, you're looking at about 20 grams of carbs and about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight of protein.
Yeah.
And that's dropping into ketosis. And once you're full on in ketosis, then you can, between 20 to 40 grams of carbs, net carbs, digestible carbs, which is minus the fiber. Fiber is considered a carbohydrate, but it's not digestible. So like if you're looking at something and it says 30 grams carbs and there's 5 grams of fiber, you would subtract that 5 grams and you got 25 grams of net carbs or digestible carbs. But and then with protein, you can get up to about the 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram.
And then you can also, once you get into ketosis, you can utilize MCT oil to even bring those numbers up a little bit higher. But while trying to get into ketosis or achieve nutritional ketosis, which is going to be on your keto sticks, is going to be in the purple. So we don't want like super dark purple. We want purple. Once you get into purple and you're there consistently, then you can start playing around with adjusting those macronutrients a little bit, as long as you're adding in the ketones, right? The exogenous ketones, which come from MCT oil. And I really like MCT oil in that it's a great energy source for mitochondria, right? MCTs, medium chain triglycerides,
derived from coconut.
They go right in to the mitochondria and just get used as fuel. Well, the cell, and go through metabolism and get used right up as energy. They don't require any energy transport. So I really like that as a fuel source.
Yeah.
So, if you're really playing around with the carbohydrates and going like 20 grams a day, you're going on a very low carbohydrate diet, and you're going to start flushing the body of water. So you're starting to use up your glycogen. Your body's going to look for glycogen. It's going to go through the muscles and gather up all the sugar it can and burn it while it's making the enzymes to burn the ketones, because your body needs to adapt to burning fat as fuel.
Right.
So you're going to lose a lot of water. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you're taking plenty of salt.
I've read from one of the experts about 5 grams of salt a day is what he shoots for.
Yeah.
So being in ketosis.
It's kind of, for some people with kidney issues, you might want to consult with your physician before starting a ketogenic diet. Hypothyroidism, also, you need to watch that, because it'll stress the adrenals, it'll stress the thyroid, but it's manageable. You can do it, but set yourself up for success. So have snacks on hand that are keto friendly, and make sure you're drinking plenty of water and eating plenty of salt.
Hey Lisa, how's it going?
Yay.
Good to see you here joining us. So what are some of the other big things? So one of the big stumbling blocks that I actually need to be aware of is if I'm not getting into ketosis, the main thing is usually if my net carbs are solid, like if I'm within my carb range, is usually excess protein. So then I got to watch my protein there.
So other strategies for getting into ketosis a little bit easier would be intermittent fasting. So at some point you're not going to be hungry. We even have members of our practice that eat like once a day here on keto. They aren't hungry, so they don't eat. So, fasting for 18 to 24 hours can help really transition you. Breaking your fast with a keto-friendly breakfast, so making sure that you're not waking up and eating a grain, no sugar for breakfast,
Right.
no fruit for breakfast. Get those eggs, get the fat, get the fiber, but stick with it. It can take. Some people can get right in,
Yep.
and they'll start dropping the pounds, or their brain will switch over really rapidly, especially if you've keto adapted before. You'll tend to switch over more rapidly. At least that's been my personal experience. And then stick with it and give it a few weeks, because it'll take a little bit of time. If you start feeling achy and feverish and tired,
Yes.
it's probably the low carbohydrate flu.
Yeah, the keto flu.
The keto flu.
The keto flu is what it's called.
Eat more fat.
Yep.
And
realize you're not getting sick.
Yeah, take some B vitamins. Rest your body. Don't do anything too extraneous. So if you're on a very extraneous exercise program, kind of take it easy for a little bit until you adapt, and then play with that, because I found that when I keto adapted, I maintained my physical activity, which I was doing like circuit training. I actually lost 2 pounds of muscle. I wasn't eating enough calories to feed the activity level. Right. So be super careful if you're really active.
I'll be interested to see how much energy I have in the mornings for our
For
workout.
our workout, yes.
Yeah. So,
it'll be interesting in about a week.
Yeah.
It'll be good to check in about a week with you and
see how I'm doing.
Just see how you're doing.
Yeah. And you can measure ketones. You can do the keto sticks with urine.
Yep.
And you can do breath. There's a breath machine that you can get that, and that really looks at how efficiently you're using your ketones. And then they have little blood monitors too, where you can do a little pinprick.
Which is probably the most accurate way.
That's the most accurate way. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's interesting. When I first got into ketosis, I started looking at, or ketogenic diets rather. I started looking at ultra athletes who were doing these long distance races, and they weren't bonking, which is a term used when muscles run out of fuel, so they run out of glycogen, they hit the wall. So these keto athletes never hit the wall. They kept going and going and going, and what they found was that they use oxygen more efficiently.
Isn't that interesting?
So yeah, that's great, right? We get to use oxygen more efficiently. We produce less free radicals. We actually have endless amounts of energy. I mean, we're all carrying around hundreds of thousands of calories of energy right now on our bodies. Even you, being at 145, you probably have
141
or 141. So you could really fast for probably 40 days and still live.
That would be crazy,
right? I mean, there's that much energy on your bodies. If we could all just tap into all that energy,
that's amazing.
That's amazing. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say. Well, go ahead. You finish that, then I'll.
I was only going to say that that when you're burning glucose, you're using insulin, and insulin's primary role is to really store energy. So when the concept of keto is to keep the carbohydrates low so the insulin levels do not rise. We don't want insulin to come up, because as soon as insulin rises in the bloodstream, you're going to turn off what's called lipolysis. There was a documentary called What the Health, and they talked about this process a little bit, and they kind of took some things out of context in my opinion. But they're correct in that insulin will turn off lipolysis, and we want lipolysis. Lipolysis means the breakdown of fat, and then that gets processed into ketones, and then we use those ketones as energy. So the goal here is keep the insulin low, because that's a storage molecule that stores fat. So if you have fat hanging around your midsection, that's really an insulin issue. That's really an inefficient insulin system. So or a sugar metabolism system. So we want to keep that low in the diet, and so watch your carbohydrate intake. Try not to eat too many fruits. Once you get into ketosis, you can start playing with that a little bit and add fats to things. So lots and lots of fat.
Yes.
Yeah. And err on the too much fat side rather than the too little.
And fat's not going to make you fat, which is one of the biggest myths out there. Especially if you're eating high quality fats like coconut oil and extra virgin olive oil and
grass-fed meats,
grass-fed
butters,
yes, exactly.
Fish.
chicken
Yeah.
and all the good stuff there. Avoiding the refined vegetable oils, the processed vegetable oils, the trans fats, the hydrogenated fats, the
Yeah.
partially hydrogenated. You avoid those. But it takes fat to burn fat. So as we're consuming higher amounts of fat, our body begins to burn fat, the fat that we actually have on us as well. What I was going to say was that our ancestors were probably closer to a keto diet than we think, because they ate a lot of animal fats. They ate a lot of nuts and seeds as well. They didn't have our Paleolithic ancestors is what I should clarify that as, where they weren't eating grains, they weren't eating beans and legumes, so they weren't doing a tremendous amount of carbs. Maybe in the summertime when there was fruits to harvest, they had more, but in general they were a very fat-oriented people, and so they were probably using fat as fuel much more so than we are today. And we can see the effects of using glucose or having too much glucose in the bloodstream today. Right. So with insulin surges, excess insulin, excess glucose.
And this kind of, and you're sort of getting into an area that I'm interested in, and these insulin surges, but you're talking about our culture and our environment today, right? So the foods that we're exposed to, but also the ambient environment we're exposed to. So there's a lot of research coming out about blue light. So blue light from LEDs is making our mitochondria more inefficient to use oxygen as fuel. So you can actually eliminate blue light from your environment by using something called blue tech glasses, or you can find them on Amazon. They're like gaming glasses, but they'll cut blue light out. So if you start burning oxygen more efficiently, and especially if you're on keto, you probably start dropping more weight. We want an oxygen-rich environment, but we want the oxygen to be an environment that can be utilized. Right.
So, and fat it helps us utilize oxygen.
Absolutely. So if you're kind of stuck on keto and haven't been losing weight, I know Misty, you're posting a question for us. I would try the intermittent fasting, looking at proteins. So people that can't really convert or aren't converting effectively or efficiently into keto, there's probably a protein issue or there's a carbohydrate issue there. And it goes back to genetics in the liver. But also look at your ambient environment. How much Wi-Fi are you exposed to? What are your cortisol levels like? Are you stressed? Are you staying up late? And are you exposed to a lot of blue screens? So laptops, cell phones, computers, TVs, that sort of thing. Try to cut that out of your life. And then expose yourself to cold water. So we want to create something called thermogenesis. So we want to create internal heat. So finishing your showers on cold for 30 seconds to a minute if you can stand it. It'll be easier now that we're coming into the summer months. But different things working on the autonomic nervous system. Right.
Because it's going to shift it. That cold is going to shift us into sympathetic, which then is going to have the reaction from the parasympathetic engaging.
Exactly.
So it's a very calming experience. I was at a blood chemistries seminar 2 weekends ago, doing a functional blood chemistry analysis, and just over and over and over, when we were looking at various dysfunctions that arise in the physiology, it was blood sugar dysregulation issues. It's so many of the conditions, the chronic conditions that we suffer from as Americans in the modern era, keep coming back to blood sugar issues. Fluctuations of highs to lows when we spike our blood sugar and then crash it and go hypoglycemic, or we wait too long to eat and just get hypoglycemic, and we have insulin surges and cortisol being kicked out when we're hypoglycemic. And it's just so many of the conditions we suffer from today come back to glucose dysregulation, and this is where the ketogenic diet is
kind of takes care of all that.
Takes care of all of that. It's you reduce your use of insulin because you're minimizing the amount of glucose streaming into the system, and you end up with this really a much more stable energy level.
I had an interesting conversation with a physician who runs True North, which is a fasting clinic, and what's his name, Dr. Goldhammer. So I was speaking with Dr. Goldhammer several years ago, and he was talking about all the amazing cures they were having in their clinic. You know, like people getting over autoimmune conditions and arthritis, and you know, the list kind of goes on and on. It's really interesting. And I said to him, I think, you know what? I think you're getting all those benefits from ketones,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from fat.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really go over that well, but I really think that that's what happens when we fast is we go into a ketonic state, right? Ketogenic state, and it's so anti-inflammatory. You use oxygen more effectively. I mean, so many things happen downstream that just really allow our bodies to get out of that roller coaster that we're all in,
Mm-hmm.
living in, you know, with the information that we're getting from the media, or the information that we're getting from other physicians or nutritionists or
Mm-hmm.
dietitians. You know, that kind of leaves you on the glucose side of things, and glucose is very up and down, like you said. You know, it's you can get
on a roller coaster with it.
you can get hangry.
Yes,
right.
You can get super hangry.
We don't like hangry.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No, it's no fun.
It's no fun. So think about the ketogenic diet. I'm really excited to follow your story.
Yeah, I'm stoked. So if anybody out there watching wants to do it with me, and contact us. Let us know. Send us a message through Facebook, or send us an email at admin@siskiyouvitalmedicine.com, and just let them know that you're interested in learning more about the ketogenic diet. Perhaps you want to join me on this adventure, and we'll see how that goes. We'll keep reporting in on every Wednesday Night Live for a while here.
Very good. How long do you plan on going keto?
Until I feel like I have no end date in mind.
Oh, good.
It's wide open.
Good.
So I may go for as long as I feel, and it might be something that I permanently shift to if I feel so called. So.
All right. So I have something. I know I've been kicking around with you a little bit. I've been following a physician on Twitter, and this particular gentleman has been on an all meat diet, only meat, for several months. But he has a lot of people following him and chiming in, and they're finding that a lot of conditions are going away. A lot of autoimmunity is going away. So stay tuned on that. I'm going to research that a little bit more, and I might actually end up on an all meat diet at some point. You guys can watch my progress.
I've been watching the vegetables slip in somehow.
Yeah, the vegetables keep creeping in. I can't get away from my greens. It's kind of hard.
So Lisa, wait, Jess McGinty, why would you stop? It's awesome for you. Jess, it's so good to see you here. Why would I stop? I listen to my body. I may never stop, Jess. We might be on this forever, Jess. You never know.
I think about the ketogenic diet in terms of our Paleolithic ancestors, right? Yeah. So there are times of feast and famine. Times of the year, like the summer months, you know, you're getting fruits. Mm-hmm. You're getting foods that are higher in sugars. So I think that it's more natural to follow a natural rhythm to go in and out of ketosis. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's our natural state to stay in ketosis for the entire year.
Exactly.
So that's why that comes up for me. I know people who live in ketosis, and they've been there for several years, and they do well on that. But I know people that don't do so well for a long period of time. So cycle in and out. It's going to be about who you are.
It's going to be listening to my body. Yeah. So that's what it would boil down to, Jess, is listening to what's right for my body, which is something I've always done. And Lisa, yes, you would still get the benefits. If you do keto, but not all the way, you're still going to get benefits for the most part. Absolutely.
As long as your carbohydrates are low enough to avoid storing the fat that you do eat.
Exactly. Like you don't want to keep having insulin surges and floods of glucose. So you can go drop into ketosis, and you can kind of come out of it and go back into it and come out of it, and that's not going to harm you in any way. So and that's what you were speaking to, is our ancestors did that a lot. Right. So you have to think about in the winter months, fat is really easy to store.
Absolutely,
it's a super easy storage, especially animal fats, saturated fats. They don't have to be refrigerated. And so there's a real storage, good energy form.
And they're good for you.
Yeah, the heart loves saturated fat. The heart's preferred fuel is saturated fat.
That's right.
So,
All right, guys.
All right, everybody.
You guys, we're about to wrap it up, but first we're gonna have party time. Let's see.
What are you doing there? What you got there? All right. Well, I love it. I have flowers on my head. I've always wanted one of these.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks a lot. I don't know how to get out of this now.
Oh no!
Bye.
What have you done?
Oh Lord. Oh wait, I know how to get out of it. You guys enjoying this? I'm enjoying
great.
this. Good.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Stop. Let's see.
And
you can watch us try to.
right there. Oh wait. Oh, we're still going live.
Hi, live.